Okay, we are streaming live November 4th, 2019 trustee meeting. All set, sir.
I call this meeting to order. Mr. Bonar, would you please call roll for today's meeting?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Brian Rivers.
Here.
Lisa Knapp. Debbie Toronto.
Here.
Wes Meyer. Okay, and as a side note, Trustee Knapp is unavailable. She has a personal matter that she's attending to. She will do her best to join us later.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Has anyone heard from Mr. Mayor?
I do not believe he'll be attending this morning. Do we have any agenda changes?
I do not.
I do, Mr. Chairman. Under the executive session, I'd like to add the article to conference with an attorney for the public body concerning disputes involving the public body that are the subject of pending or imminent court action. And I have that verbiage right here for you, sir.
Thank you.
Certainly. So that would be in addition to the executive session items that are already noted on the agenda.
And I have no changes. Do we have any public comments here this morning for items that are not on today's agenda? No? So that moves us to the approval of minutes. And we have a resolution today. I know this was discussed in prior meetings in a revision of how our minutes are handled. The new model is very similar to the county commissioners and how they use their video system and managing their meeting minutes. Trustee Turner, do you have anything to add? Any questions?
I'm good with this. I just want to make sure that there is a journal that we keep along with the video. So it kind of breaks down the meeting, but in particular the resolutions.
I believe there was an example that was emailed over earlier. It had a example of how that's kept in the journal, what it looks like as far as what the county uses.
Is that what Mr. Mayor sent? Okay. Are you good with that?
Yes.
Mr. Rivers, kind of on that same note, yeah, I did scan through this. I didn't spend a good time on it, but it was in the package. I think it says in here, in the resolution, that the video recording itself, 20 minutes.
Well, in addition to a journal.
Well, yeah, that's the part I don't think I saw. So I just want to make sure we have that.
So let's just make sure that there's something in here that also includes a journal, that it is part of the minutes.
You may want to consider section E for that.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at. The board permits this officer to maintain and keep a full record of the board's proceedings and look at it in electronic formats, including the downloaded to audio, video, or electronic document files, all of which shall constitute the official record. I would just consider strongly putting the journal in there somewhere.
Yes, I'd like to do that.
How about between video and more electronic documents? We'll just add an word journal. Is that sufficient?
I would say all of which, together with a journal.
Written journal.
Together with a journal and the journal reflecting all resolutions and other matter deemed appropriate. That sounds about right.
Would the board entertain Mr. McCarthy's revamping of that language that he just shared and coming back to this issue?
Well, I think we're really behind on minutes, so I was hoping we'd get this approved today so we can get...
I just meant later today in the meeting.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Are you comfortable with it?
Yeah, with the journal reflecting all resolutions and matter deemed appropriate.
There you go, I'm good with that.
Another matter.
And Mr. Chairman, if I could just, so that I understand this, the videos, the audios that we have been maintaining for quite some time will continue. The journal entry is basically the caption of the resolution captions and then the outcome of those resolutions. The vote basically is what it is. And less the side talk or discussion on topics that are discussion items that precede the vote. So that will be that journal, which will then be substantiated by the video recordings if somebody wanted to see those. Okay, and my understanding would be that we would still obviously do the live YouTube and continue with the video recordings and share those via the same channels that we have been in the past.
I'm fine with continuing both. I mean, I guess eventually we'll probably need to. Is it worth having two? I don't know. I mean, I know this live streaming is something new, and there's just like anything that's new, you have a few wrinkles to iron out. So I don't know if we're at the point now where we're comfortable with just YouTube, but I would hope eventually we'll get to the point where we wouldn't need both.
That sounds excellent for my ears.
Do you want to continue with both?
But my only issue is 2 meetings ago we had no sound. That was it's only been, let's wait a little bit longer and make sure all the bugs are worked out before we do that, maybe the rest of the year.
I will tell you that somebody was kind of in the stuff again, and I had to contact our contact person to find out some wires were pulled prior to today's meeting. So I am checking on this. I'm trying to make sure that it's secured. We're going to do a little bit better effort on our part to relocate it when it isn't in use.
That's probably a good
I think we'll
idea.
put it in Matthew's office around the corner.
Okay.
So that it's secured. And unfortunately, it was the wires that provided the audio feed. So I don't know if that's a trend or what, but
I'm glad you caught that.
Thank you.
it's just one of those added value things that I try to bring to the table.
I make the adoption of the following resolution. The Board of Trustees of Orange Township, Delaware County, Ohio met in regular session on November 4th, 2019 with the following members present. Trustee Turano, Trustee Ritlers. Whereas pursuant to RC 507.04a, a Township Fiscal Officer shall keep an accurate record of the proceedings of the Board of Township Trustees at all of its meetings, and whereas consistent with such requirement, the Board may elect to maintain a full and accurate record of its proceedings by electronic means, including but not limited to those listed in RC 9.01, by adopting a resolution that directs the Orange Township Fiscal Officer to maintain a full and accurate record of the Board's proceedings by electronic means, and whereas the Board possesses the necessary equipment to maintain a full and accurate record of its proceedings by electronic means, and whereas the Board also wishes to provide live streaming audio and video of its proceedings via a web application. Now therefore be it resolved, A, consistent with the requirements of RC 507.04a, the Board hereby directs the Fiscal Officer to maintain and keep a full and accurate record of the Board's proceedings at all of its meetings by electronic means. B, the Board hereby directs the Fiscal Officer to maintain and keep a general index of the electronic record by electronic means. C, that the electronic means by which the Fiscal Officer maintains and keeps a full and accurate record of the Board's proceedings and/or general index of the electronic record shall ever fail or malfunction, the Board hereby directs the Fiscal Officer to create, maintain, and keep as applicable a full and accurate written record of the Board's proceedings consistent with the requirements of RC 507.04a and/or a written general index of said record. At its next meeting, the Board shall orally approve the electronic record of proceedings from the previous meeting after the Fiscal Officer certifies that the entire record of the proceedings at the meeting is completely and accurately captured in the electronic record of those proceedings. Subject to such approval, it is the Board's express intention that the full record of the Board's proceedings maintained and kept by electronic means pursuant to Section A of this resolution, and if necessary, any written record maintained and kept in accordance with Section C of this resolution shall serve as the official record of the proceedings of the Board at all of its meetings, carrying the full force and effect thereof, and shall be admissible as such in any applicable form in accordance with the laws of the state of Ohio. The board hereby permits the fiscal officer to maintain and keep the full record of the board's proceedings in duplicative electronic formats, including but not limited to audio, video, or electronic document files, all of which shall constitute of the official record in accordance with Section D of this resolution, with a journal reflecting all resolutions and matter deemed appropriate, subject to approval in accordance with such section. F, the board hereby directs the Orange Township Administrator to cause the proceedings of the board to be broadcast on the internet by live streaming audio and video via a Township YouTube channel or other web application, when and to the extent such broadcast is possible. If the audio and video are broadcast by the administrator or any website or application other than the Township website shall contain a link to the other website or applications where the audio and video are broadcast. G, all formal actions of this board concerning and relating to the passage of this resolution were adopted in an open meeting of the board, and all deliberations of the board and of any of its committees that resulted in such formal action were in meetings open to the public in compliance with all legal requirements, including RC 121.22. This resolution shall be in full force and effect immediately upon adoption and shall be retroactive to July 15th, 2019.
Second?
Trustee Rivers?
Yes.
Trustee Knapp? Trustee Toret?
Yes.
I believe that takes us to our zoning report. Bonnie?
Yes. So the only thing I have on the zoning report is the table item for setting a hearing date for the Township application for zone -19-01. We do have the applicant here on behalf of that application to finalize the hearing date. So I guess we'll go from there. The language is a little unique in the agenda item. Maybe I'll have my touch on that.
We'll try.
Okay.
As I understand it, I guess to start at the beginning, Section 519.12 governs the process, and it is a mandatory process through which a rezoning occurs. This is a rezoning application. It states that the trustees within 30 days of having received the recommendation of the zoning commission shall have their hearing as to the application. In discussion with Ms. Radcliffe, it's been indicated that for various reasons, I think one of the least of which involved working with the county engineer's office on the southern pond, that there was a feeling that the available dates within the 30-day range would not be realistic in terms of having a compliant submittal for the zoning commission's, or rather for the board's consideration at its hearing. You remember, this is an application in which the zoning commission recommended approval with, I think it was 20 stipulations, give or take. And they want to meet them, but they did not feel they'd be able to do that within the time that exists. Ms. Radcliffe is requesting that the board schedule, so as to indicate compliance with 519.12, that the board schedule the initial opening of the hearing within a 30-day window with the specific intent, lest the public and staff and the board be put out with the specific intent and statement, and I believe commitment, that it would be necessary then to continue that hearing, convene the hearing, and then continue it to a further date, time certain, that would afford adequate time for the issues with the engineer to be worked out and the other issues presented in the application to be ironed out as well. So this is unusual in that sense. Ms. Radcliffe, would you wish to state anything further?
Sure. So with all that said, we do feel that we could probably get all the applicant was out of the country for most of October, so we were trying to see how much of the stipulations we could get covered in time, and we didn't want to get to the November 18th and not have our materials ready. So we were thinking before this that we would ask to be continued to December. But as of this morning, we do feel that we can get these stipulations. A lot of them are just kind of going back and correcting the plans. And we can easily do that by the end of this week and get it submitted and be on the agenda for the November 18th hearing, if that would work.
Okay, if I could ask you, please state your name
Oh,
so
sure.
the board knows who they're speaking.
Sarah Radcliffe, attorney with Kemper Fisher on behalf of the applicant.
Thank you.
Sure. So the only thing that we are still working out that Mr. McCarthy had mentioned was talking with the county engineer. From what I understand, that doesn't need to be fully done by the time we submit the plans with the board of trustee. I mean, it's not one of the stipulations, but we are still kind of working with the engineer as far as the drainage depths and size. But as far as the whole development plan goes, the setbacks and the capacity should all be fine. We're just kind of tweaking little things with the county engineer at this point, which is what we thought we would want to have all cleaned up and buttoned up before we go before the board. But from what I understand, as long as we get these stipulations taken care of on our plans and in our text, we would be all set to go before the board on November 18th. Get this bill by the end of this week, if that works.
You get the 18th? We'll say 6 o'clock on the 18th.
Is it the 18th or 19th? Seeing showing the 19th.
For the Monday, November.
Yeah, which is actually a Friday, I believe.
Monday the 18th, November 18th.
Oh,
2019.
I would be hesitant to start it at the beginning of the trustee meeting, because we do have, I anticipate there will be a lot of people showing up for it, so respecting the other staff here,
Mhm.
we may want to do that
Do you think the board might want to consider a special meeting?
or that.
That lies with the board.
But if we were gonna do it on a regular meeting, I'd probably recommend we do it 6:30 to 7 to get some of the business. That would be my recommendation, because these meetings have been well participated.
Do you want to say 6:30 on the 18th?
Mike, if it carries over to when the regular trustee meeting starts, how does that work?
Sorry, you're saying how does the,
So
board-
say we do 6:30 and it's still going on at 7, and the regular trustee meeting starts at 7.
Well, you
Yeah.
could consider recessing the hearing, until the other business of the board is completed. You could consider recessing the hearing to a date, time, and place certain.
Can we
You would have
recess it and then
alternatives.
start the trustee meeting and reconvene it immediately?
Yeah, and just make sure everyone present, is able to hear and understand that it might be worth hanging around if they have something to say.
Should we do 6?
I'm fine with 6.
So, okay, I'm sorry, I didn't.
So like we said, 6 p.m. on November 18th, right? And then depending if we'll
Handle
have
that
the-
if it happens.
If it goes for an extended period, then we work around it. Okay, so
Does that work for you all?
are you
Ms.
good with
Ratcliffe, does that work
That
for
works for us. Thank you.
I make the motion to hold a rezoning hearing for case ZON-1901, Horseshoe Development LLC, on November 19th, 2019.
18?
Oh, I'm sorry. On November 19th,
No.
or November 18th, 2019, at 6 p.m. at Township Hall, with the announced necessity to recess that hearing to a future date and time certain.
I think we could strike the last
Strike that.
part.
Yeah.
Just because of what Ms. Radcliffe indicated this morning.
So at 6 p.m. at Township Hall, right?
Yes, sir.
Second.
Alright, so let me
Okay.
redo this again, so make sure we got this right. I make the motion to hold a rezoning hearing for case ZON-1901, Horseshoe Development LLC, on November 18th, 2019, at 6 p.m. at Township Hall.
Second?
Trustee Rivers?
Yes.
Trustee Triano?
Yes.
Trustee Nat?
That's all I have, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I need to put that in my calendar.
Mr. Cowan, maintenance report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, appreciate it. Couple items. One is the discussion of possible action regarding approval of an agreement with Dunrobin Associates. Dunrobin Associates is about the Trail Canyon project, the widening. There's 3 phases to that project. Dunn Robbins' role would be to acquire right-of-way that's necessary for that. Another item for discussion and possible action is an agreement with Robert Weiler Company. Same project, Robert Weiler Company will go in first and do appraisal work on the prospective right-of-ways. So those two work hand in hand. Following that, the approval or consideration of the agreements have two purchase orders, one for Dunn Robin and one for Robert Weiler. And lastly, we have a request to amend Resolution 19317, obsolete items on Gov Deals. It's our swimming pool furniture. So it's been listed twice, and we have not met the minimum reserve as required by the original ordinance, or resolution, I'm sorry. So we're asking that the resolution be amended, putting an overall just lump sum price of $1,500 on the furniture. The original resolution was around $2,400 for the total amount of furniture. It just didn't work out. I'd like to try it again and see if we can sell it.
Third time's a charm.
Yeah, so.
Any questions?
I don't, I'm in agreement with everything.
I make the adoption of the following resolution as the Board of Trustees of Orange Township, Delaware County, Ohio, met in regular session on November 4th, 2019, with the following members present: Trustee Turano, Trustee Rivers. Whereas the Orange Township Board of Trustees has found a necessity for and has approved project DEL-TR 107-0.05 Bell Canyon Road improvements. Whereas the board needs consultant right-of-way for services for acquisition of required rights of way. Now therefore be it resolved, the Dunn Robin Associates LLC proposal of July 5th, 2019, performing the right-of-way services necessary for the acquisition of required rights of way is hereby approved and attached hereto. The fiscal officer is authorized to issue purchase orders to Dunn Robin Associates LLC for the required right-of-way services for the amount up to $162,192 in accordance with the proposal. The fiscal officer is requested to append the purchase order certificates in accordance with RC 5705.41D. B, all formal actions of this board concerning and relating to the passage of this resolution were adopted in open meeting of the board, and all deliberations of this board and of any of its committees that resulted in such formal action were in meetings open to the public in compliance with all legal requirements, including RC 121.22. C, this resolution shall be in full force and effect immediately upon adoption.
Second?
Trustee Rivers?
Yes.
Trustee Turano?
Yes.
Trustee Knapp?
I move the adoption of the following resolution as the Board of Trustees of Orange Township, Delaware County, Ohio, met in regular session on November 4th, 2019, with the following members present: Trustee Turano, Trustee Rivers. Whereas the Orange Township Board of Trustees has found a necessity for and has approved project DEL-TR 107-0.05 Bell Canyon improvements, whereas the project needs appraisal services of easements to be acquired. Now therefore be it resolved, A, the Robert Weiler Company proposal of July 10th, 2019, perform the appraisals necessary for the acquisition of required rights of way is hereby approved and attached hereto. The fiscal officer is authorized to issue purchase orders to the Robert Weiler Company for the required appraisal services for the amount up to $52,000 in accordance with the proposal. The fiscal officer is requested to append the purchase order certificates in accordance with RC 5705.41D. B, all formal actions of this board concerning and relating to the passage of this resolution were adopted in open meeting of the board, and all deliberations of this board and of any of its committees that resulted in such formal action were in meetings open to the public in compliance with all legal requirements, including RC 121.22. C, this resolution shall be in full force and effect immediately upon adoption.
Second?
Trustee Rivers?
Yes.
Trustee Tranto?
Yes.
Trustee Knapp?
I make the motion to authorize the issuance of a purchase order to Dunn Robin Associates LLC in the amount of $162,192 for Bell Canyon right-of-way acquisition.
Second?
Trustee Rivers?
Yes.
Trustee Tranto?
Yes.
Trustee Knapp?
I make the motion to authorize the issuance of a purchase order to the Robert Weiler Company in the amount of $52,000 for Vail Canyon right-of-way appraisals.
Second?
Trustee Rivers?
Yes.
Trustee Triano?
Yes.
Trustee Nat?
And the last one, I make the motion to amend Resolution 19-317 to correct the minimum reserve bid amount.
Second?
Trustee Rivers?
Yes.
Trustee Triano?
Yes.
Trustee Nat?
Thank you very much. I just have a couple other comments real quick about some of the work that's been done recently. Just let you know that Diamond Bright repairs that were authorized a few weeks ago at the swimming pool have been completed. Working around one of the ladders, the cement behind the ladder was deteriorated almost 9 inches deep into the wall. So we're glad they found that. That's been corrected. So that work has been completed.
Mr. Cowan, if I could, that Diamond Bright finish, that's the finish coating that's on the interior of the pool?
Yes.
Okay.
But there were selective repairs.
Okay.
It wasn't all bad repair, but when they sounded the concrete, there were some areas that were obviously loose.
Okay.
That's what-
Loose and needed, that actually helps as a sealant and also a texture.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. James has made arrangements with Patterson Pools to have the sand filter replaced this year. It's been a few years since that's been done, and we're having a little bit of difficulty getting with the filters, so we're going to take care of that this winter. We're also looking at a swimming pool contract for next year. It's that time already, believe it or not. And I was wondering, I'm just throwing it out there, not for so much discussion today, but if the board might be interested in doing a multi-year contract for the pool maintenance as opposed to swapping out every year. Maybe look at a 3-year agreement. Just something to think about.
And Mr. Cowan and I did talk together on that. The hope is that may encourage other companies to render a bid.
Yeah, we had interest from others recently.
Oh, that's good.
To let you know, I think you're all aware that the North Road Lewis Center Trail has been completed. That was a project Miss Yu had orchestrated. Man, it's beautiful. If you look at it, it's just waiting for the grass to grow now, but it really turned out nice. I want to thank Ms. Bonnie for making contact with Roxanne Burris at The Ohio State University. Ms. Burris has a group class that's interested in revisiting our Parks Master Plan. So we've had some discussion with her, and I'd like to, we're going to talk to Ms. Burris and set up a scope of work. And before we ask for your approval, I want to share that with you, take a look at it, see if you're interested in moving forward with that. I think it'd be great. Just real quick, the roads. Mr. James has been working on equipment, getting it prepared, of course, for winter, and I'm happy to report the salt bins are full. We don't have to order salt this time. And we'll be starting a project soon that was approved at the last meeting with environmental trenching. There's a 12-inch culvert that crosses Parkway Drive that has eroded. It was corrugated metal. The bottom had rotted out and was causing a lot of erosion and problems. So that'll be starting soon. Sorry, I've exceeded my 5-minute time. Thank you.
I would like to add on to the list. Both Mr. Cowan, Mr. James, and I reviewed the resumes for the maintenance worker position now that Gary Hall has retired. We received 20, we had interviews, we've identified a candidate, again, sending that candidate for some pre-background checks. So hopefully at either the upcoming meeting on the 18th or on December the 2nd, we'll have something to present to the board so we can get that position filled since it's going to start to be snowplow season. We want to get somebody in a truck and get them trained and onboard.
That's great.
Thank you. Chief Noble.
This is me. Good morning.
Good morning.
The first item on the list, one of our most recent new full-time hires, OPNF Physical. We had attempted to use a physical from another employer. They had just gone through what that employer deemed was an OPNF Physical. So we thought that we would just pull that physical in and use it. There were a few items missing out of there that OPNF wanted, so we had to end up sending our individual in to have those tests performed and to have a physical done. That delayed OPNF receiving information, so OPNF basically sent us a notice and said, hey, you owe us some fines. So OPNF, we attempted to work with them to see if they would be willing to put that off to the side, and they are not. So that is after item on the agenda. You just want me to go through everything, then you'll approve.
Yep.
The next item on the list is we received a very handsome donation, I will say, from Healthy Pets of Lewis Center. That would be Aaron Buck, DVM, donated several bags. They're called Fido bags, and inside are items for us to care for pets at an emergency scene. Some of those items in each of these bags includes a leash, gloves for handling cats, a mask, an elongated oxygen mask for pets for their faces, and some other care items. So I wanted to bring that before you. Not only were the bags donated to us, but they had some extra money left over, which he wrote a check for $35 to the fire department included with these bags. So I would ask for your acceptance of very gracious donation today. With that, the
Chief, did you have bags on your own, or is this the only access to those?
we had some items already on our apparatus, the medics, the engine, and the ladder, so this will add to those. Really, the only items we had on the apparatus were masks for pets that we previously had, so this will complement the items that we already had. And then the only other item right now is the tabled item from the last meeting. If you recall, I asked the board if they would be interested in passing a resolution allowing the parents of firefighter Trevor Murphy to purchase cemetery plots at the resident rate, given that they're non-residents. So we prepared a resolution for you today for that. And as you recall from our previous firefighter Murphy passed away earlier this year, and they would like to purchase plots near him.
Any questions or anything?
Do you want to do the injury leave also?
We can, that's under the administrative report.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're right, it is. I'm fine moving forward, Mr. Rivers.
I make the motion to authorize the payment of OP&F penalty invoice FTI 002696 in the amount of $1,000 for the late submission of a pre-employment physical exam due to extenuating circumstances.
Second.
Trustee Rivers?
Yes.
Trustee Triano?
Yes.
Trustee Nat?
I make the motion to accept a donation in the form of 8 Fido bags, a monetary donation.
Second.
Trustee Rivers?
Yes.
Trustee Triano?
Yes.
Trustee Nat?
I make the adoption of the following resolution, whereas Trevor Murphy served as a firefighter paramedic in the Orange Township Fire Department and is buried at Acker Cemetery in Orange Township, and whereas Gary and Catherine Hardin, his parents, who are not residents of Orange Township, wish to purchase 2 cemetery plots in that cemetery in the area of his grave. And whereas, as is deemed appropriate, in view of firefighter paramedic Murphy's service to Orange Township, that the sale of such plots be made available to his parents at the resident rate. Now therefore be it resolved, the sale of 2 cemetery plots at the Africa Cemetery to Gary and Catherine Hardin at the resident rate is authorized.
Second.
Trustee Rivers?
Yes.
Trustee Triano?
Yes.
Trustee Nat?
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Bowden, our administrative report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before I jump into the litany of information I have to share and turn it over to Ms. Sheafrum for some additional information, I just wanted to share that we had the Township's first, to my knowledge, levy information open house meeting last Tuesday, the 29th. The staff was on hand, and I'd like to thank Ms. Sheafrum, Mr. Cowan, Mr. James, Ms. Bonnie for pitching in and being part. Chris Wagner was also a part of that meeting. They were on hand to answer any and all questions. Though we didn't have a ambitious turnout as we would have liked to have, we were prepared to share information with the public. And I think that's where we want to poise ourselves more often than not, to be able to share information. And as I had shared at the last meeting, we will be looking at holding an open house annually to share information and to keep our fingers on the pulse of our community with the board's approval. With that, I'll turn the 2 items over to Ms. Sheetram, actually 3 items, to Ms. Sheetram for her discussion and sharing.
Before you are 2 resolutions. One is for firefighter Dewart and one is for firefighter Jacob. They both received injuries on the job back in September. They used their own time, sick, vacation, comp, or a combination of, until injury leave would kick in and then replace it. This is their hours that they need reimbursed back per their contract that's agreed to in their injury leave article. I will say firefighter Jacob has returned to work in a transitional role, so we expect him to be back full duty here relatively shortly. And firefighter Dewart has not returned to work, but we're still waiting and hopeful that he'll be back here soon, hopefully in a transitional role, and then we can get him back to work. If there's any questions on either one of those. And these hours have been verified with Ms. Church at the fire department as well.
Thank you.
I make the motion to authorize reimbursement of 137 sick hours due to an injury for Douglas Stewart.
Second?
Trustee Rivers?
Yes.
Trustee Triano?
Yes.
Trustee
I make the motion to authorize reimbursement of 96 holiday hours due to an injury for Douglas Stewart.
Second?
Trustee Rivers?
Yes.
Trustee Triano?
Yes.
Trustee Knapp?
I make the motion to authorize the reimbursement of 312 sick hours due to an injury for Donald Jacob.
Yes.
Trustee
Second, I'm sorry.
Rivers?
Yes.
Trustee Triano?
Yes.
Trustee Knapp?
It looks like the 120 comp hours.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at.
Firefighter Dewart was missed. So to the very top of the page 11,
Oh, okay, I'm
it
sorry.
blends in with the header.
All right, yep. One left. I make the motion to authorize reimbursement of 120 compensatory hours due to injury for Douglas Stewart.
Second.
Trustee Rivers?
Yes.
Trustee Triano?
Yes.
Trustee Knapp? Brings me to my portion, trustees. I just wanted to give you a quick update on the employee health care benefit. We did receive a rather large renewal rate to continue on with our current provider, and we have asked our insurance broker of record to shop our policy. As we had done a organization-wide census last year, we were able to utilize that information, so there was no need to fill out any additional applications. There was some additions that Ms. Sheetram provided for those applications, but that's currently being shopped, and I'll be having some information for the board's discernment in a future meeting. The next item I have is a purchase order in the amount of $4,800, or in excess of $4,800, and this is for the law firm that has been involved with the OPEC healthcare issue and has represented 37 other communities, or 36 plus us, making 37 other communities involved in litigation. And as a part of the package that we engaged in, we pay 1/37 of the overall rate, which came out to $4,840.87. That pays us up to date and for all charges to this point, which is a very good value when you look at the whole. There is still some pending negotiations and matters regarding the OPEC settlement, but at last report that I believe I shared with the board, we were looking at a substantially lessened amount than which we were originally given as our, that was the amount that was in arrears for the overall consortium. So I think we're sitting better because of our involvement with this legal firm, and at $4,800, it was that kind of value. So I'd ask for your approval of that.
What's the name of the law firm?
Maznak, thank you. Raskin and Ryder. Yeah, Raskin and Ryder, I know.
Those were these.
Yeah, that's really easy.
Trying to avoid butchering that. Okay, I make a motion to authorize the issuance of the then now purchase order in the amount of $4,840.87 to Mazanek, Raskin and Ryder Company, LPA, for collective legal fees concerning OPEC-HC.
Second.
Trustee Rivers?
Yes.
Trustee Trano?
Yes.
Trustee Nat?
I believe that's it. Thank you, Mr. Bodnar.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
New business. The Finance Advisory Committee discussion, was that added by you? I don't have anything to add.
Why don't we table that right now? Or remove it, actually? And then we can maybe revisit that in the new year.
That's agreed. We'll have that removed.
Okay, yes. I make the motion that the board enter into executive session to consider the dismissal, discipline, demotion, and compensation of a public employee or official, to review negotiations or bargaining session with public employees concerning their compensation or other terms and conditions of their employment, and to consider confidential information directly related to negotiations with other political subdivisions, respective requests for economic development assistance that is to be provided or administered under Chapter 715 of the Ohio Revised Code, and that the board determines that the executive session is necessary to protect the interest of the applicants or the possible investment or expenditure of public funds to be made in connection with the economic development project. And also to conference with an attorney for the public body concerning disputes involving the public body that are the subject of pending or imminent court action. I believe is that it?
And then you included the item that I had? Yes.
Yep.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Second.
Trustee Rivers?
Yes.
Trustee Trano?
Yes.
Trustee Nat?
And invited to attend are Mr. Bodnar, Ms. Shitram, and Mr. McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.